Hey everybody, welcome back to the Grad-Centric Podcast. We're going to start a new series today. And this series is inspired by my clients. So what happens is a lot of times I'll work with clients through admissions and essays and financial aid. Then they get to this time, say actually a little bit before May, they will make a decision on their college of choice, and now they're waiting in order to go off to college in the fall. So for those clients, I want to do a series on how to succeed in college. What are the things that the students that are going off to school really need to think about and know in order to be successful and make it on time to graduation? So that's what this series is all about, inspired by my clients who are going off to college. What are we gonna talk about first? What I want to talk about first is the university catalog and working with your advisor. Let's start with the university catalog. Some of you all listening to this won't even know what a university catalog is. University catalog used to be published in paper form, so it was a little book, and you were probably given this book when you got on campus. And what's contained within this book, or when it was actually published that way, a lot of times it's actually a PDF or a web page on the website now, but it is essentially in several parts. So the first part would be about probably the school and the university and the history. The second portion is going to be a code of conduct for the student, which is really important. These are all the rules that the student is required to abide by while they live on campus, and in some cases even when they're off campus. In particular with like private schools, sometimes the reach can even go off campus in terms of student conduct, meaning that your student could do something while they're home on break and potentially be sanctioned for it from the university, which is, a pretty wide reach. But it's also things like, alcohol violations and drug policies and what you can bring into the residence hall and how you have to maintain academic standing and status, what you have to do to maintain your scholarships and financial aid. So all of those rules and regulations are in there. And I know that sounds like a boring read, and it actually probably will be, but it's very important for you as a parent or your student to read through this information to know that they're doing right by the university, that they're abiding by the guidelines. I used to work in university housing, and it wasn't uncommon for alcohol violations to pop up. Well, I can tell you those initial alcohol violations probably didn't come with a lot of penalties, maybe a fine or maybe having to go and do some type of alcohol training. But those subsequent violations and those additional violations could come with really severe consequences, up to even being expelled from the school entirely. So these are the type of things that, of course, we need to have rules in place for bad behavior. But for those that maybe didn't mean to get in trouble just because they didn't know regulation or a rule, well, that's sad when that happens, because we should know the rules, hopefully, and that's what the school's going to expect. So the second part is really going to be regulations. You'll want to make sure to read through that. The third part of the catalog is going to be academic requirements in order to get a degree. So let's say you're in the School of Business, you're in the School of Nursing, you're in the School of Engineering. Each of those schools are going to have a section where they outline what majors they offer and what you have to do in order to get that major or that minor or that certificate. So whatever your major or minor or certificate or school is, you need to read the section that's applicable to you. Which leads me into the next topic, which is working with your advisor. Now, a lot of times a school will assign an advisor to you, and generally it's a staff member, but sometimes if you're lucky enough, it might be a staff member and a professor, or just a professor alone. And these individuals are meant to ensure that you're on path to graduate, which with whatever degree that you're wanting, a lot of times you'll be tied to the school, so the advisor will maybe work in the School of Business and help you from that place. But the advisor is there to guide you through the entire process. Well, this is why the university catalog is really important, because if you know what the requirements are and you're meeting with your advisor, you're making that relationship a lot more meaningful. Not only that, but you need to protect yourself a little bit too. So a lot of people don't know Many staff advisors, it's an entry-level position at the college or university, meaning that this person maybe just got hired, maybe just got trained, maybe hasn't been at the university or college for a very long time. And so given the amount of investment that you're investing in your son or daughter's education, you want to make sure that you know what's needed to graduate. And then you can walk into the advising appointment and you already have that understanding, so that if there is an error or an omission, or just maybe an advisor that doesn't know what they're talking about because they're very new, then you can kind of mitigate that risk by knowing what's going on. So it's really important not only to build the relationship with your advisor, but make sure that you have a good understanding of what's required for you to get the degree. If you want to learn more, check out my blog post on these topics at gradmetrics.com, and I'm looking forward to publishing more on how to succeed in college.